Okay, what I thought I'd do here is just try and compare these two, a forward contract and a futures contract. So a forward contract is at a specified date, and you specify the date. Futures contracts aren't. Futures contracts are March, June, September, December. Okay, so there's a specified date. They're over the counter, so you have a personal dealing with whoever it is you're creating this forward contract with. Whereas on an exchange, on a futures contract, they're just on the big exchanges. Okay, and so therefore a forward contract is tailor-made for you, specific date, specific amount of money, and a futures contract isn't. They are very standardised in terms of the dates, also in terms of the money, 62,500 each. Okay, so let's have a look then at, now we see the differences, let's have a look at some examples then. So let's say then that we've got to pay, let's say we're a UK company, and we have to pay $200 in 3 years' time. Okay, 3 months' time, obviously. So, pay 200 in 3 months' time, and you get told that the spot rate is currently $2 plus or minus 0.01. And remember, the bank will buy your foreign currency high, and it will sell the foreign currency low. And when you're paying, okay, so you're going to pay dollars, then therefore what the bank is going to do, you need the dollars, so the bank is going to sell you some dollars. The 3-month forward rate would be, let's say, 199 plus or minus 0.03. Notice it's bigger, this spread. The whole point of this spread is that the 0.01, the 0.03, that's how the bank makes their money. And notice it's a bigger spread. It's a bigger spread because there's more uncertainty because it's in 3 months' time. Okay, so what would happen if we took the 3-month forward rate? We have to pay dollars. Dollars is the foreign currency. So you have to think to yourself, what will the bank do then if we need to pay in dollars to somebody else, not to the bank? The bank will therefore sell us some dollars. So the bank will sell us, and they buy high and they sell low. So we will have these $200, we will divide it by 1.99, take off 0.03, divide it by 1.96. Therefore, we will have to pay 102, more or less. Okay, that's pretty much how it will work. Very straightforward. Now, that's a forward then. What about a futures contract? Okay. This time we'll be a US company. Okay, we're going to be a US company who are going to receive £937,500. You'll see why that's such a specific amount of the minute. But yeah, so sterling is now the foreign currency because we're a US company. All right, now, today, the spot rate is, 1.8 to the pound. And the futures rate is 1.7 to the pound. Okay, now they're going to receive it in 2 months. Okay, so 2 months later, the spot rate is now 1.7, now 1.6, let's say, to the pound, and the futures rate is now 1.5 to the pound. Okay, so let's have a look where we would be. If we took it today, then we would receive 937. So So £937,500, but we're a US company, and times by 1.8 then. So 937,500 times by 1.8. If we'd have done it today, we would have received in dollars 1,687,500 if we'd done it today. But of course, what we were worried about was the exchange rate might move against us and we don't receive it in 2 months, but we're trying to fix it to this 1,687,500 if we can. So 2 months later, it comes about. Now, 2 months later then, what would we get? We'd have 937,500, okay, times by only 1.6, all right, the exchange rate, so 937,500 times by 1.6, we receive only 1.5 million. But the good news is we bought this future, okay. Now, in terms of the futures, 937,500, remember their standard contracts of £62,500. So 937,500 divided by 62,500, we would have had 15 contracts. Can you see, if it wasn't the exact amount, we'd have to have some left over, and that would be an overhedge, or some under, that would be an underhedge. But at the moment, I did it, so it's just right. We have 15 contracts. So how did we do on those 15 contracts? Well, we would have had our, how much was it? 937,500 times by the contract, the futures contract went from 1.7 down to 1.5. Okay, so times by 0.2. So just put this into my calculator. Times by 0.2 comes to 187,500. And we would receive that from the bank. So we would receive the 1.5 million plus the 187,500. So we would receive 1,687,500. Compare that to what we would have received if we just exchanged it on the day, which we couldn't because we weren't going to receive it for 2 months. But can you see we've done it? We've managed to get the same as what we would have done by getting into this futures contract. Otherwise, if we'd just left it, it'd have been 1.5 million. But because we got into this futures contract, and the futures contract made a gain for us, then therefore we have made the same amount. Okay, now, the only reason why it's a perfect hedge, and it's a perfect hedge because we made exactly the same amount, and that's because the spot rate change, the spot rate movement was, if you notice, I did it on purpose, it went from 1.8 to 1.6. So the spot rate went down by 0.2, and so did the futures rate. Also went down by 2, 1.7 to 1.5, okay? That's what made it a perfect hedge. It won't always be that, okay? That's why we received exactly what we otherwise would have done, because the future rate moved exactly the same, as the spot rate did. Okay, so that's how it works. Don't forget with futures contracts, there's another couple of things with a futures contract, is that it's very low risk because it's done on exchange, on big exchanges, so you don't have any risk that someone's going to default on you. But what you do need to do, you do need to put an initial deposit down with the bank just in case you start losing money. And then if you do start losing even more money, you need to put in some maintenance deposits as well, just to make sure that you've always got enough money to clear this out at the end if you lose money. Obviously, you don't have to put money in if you're gaining. Okay, you can actually take money out. And that's what generally happens, by the way. These futures contracts, they tend not to finish. You just take the money out halfway through and stop it there. Okay, that's all I wanted to say. I just wanted to compare those two so you've got a little bit of a clearer picture.